Ah, yeah, Spencer Uncensored, baby. Okay, listen. So, I'm a Marlins fan. Not that that means anything to you. However, tonight's episode of Spencer Uncensored is coming to you from yet again another parking garage. There was an episode I did, oddly enough, from LAX. I did one from LAX, and tonight I'm coming from Miami, from the parking deck of the Miami Marlins parking garage here, and the Marlins are playing the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, while I'm pulling up my notes, I wanted to, I was going to tell you guys something that was, well, we're just going to go off the cuff right now. We're going to go off the cuff. I see Deborah Quigley's in the house. Good to see you. By the way, from California. So, we've been making a lot of progress. Last week I shared with you guys the fact that we were going to be, we've rebranded. Everything is Unshakable Agent. We have changed the format of what we're doing here. It's no longer Big Life, or Little Business, or whatever we call it, but small business. And we are going to be talking tips on productivity, purpose, and profit. So this week I want to spend a little bit, just a short, brief time frame, so I can get into this game on purpose in just a minute. But before I do that, this is why I have to have notes. My mind just slipped. Oh, the game. Why is the game important? What does it matter? I have been having lots of planning conversations with people recently, because that's what we do in September, especially with real estate agents. And I was pointing out to people, we have a lot of desires and things we'd like to do, but we never get anywhere. We don't do them. We just stay in our ruts. Well, the reason for that is because we don't actually, either one, plan for it, or two, we don't actually follow a process with our plan. Like, we don't follow through on it. We just kind of write it down or say something, and then we just let it go. So a really good example of that actually is, I have on my, what I call a rap sheet. It's basically my planning life system, if you will. And I have on there that says 4 sporting events. And it's in the relationships column, because that's usually, all the sporting events are usually connected with somebody that I'm going to go with or do something with, right? And so, I realized by the end of, it was last month. Yeah, actually early last month. It was like in July. I was thinking to myself, when I was reviewing my rap sheet, and think about some of the things that you got written down, by the way, that maybe you said, I would like to do this year, right? I want to join this club. I want to do this thing. I want to do whatever. And then you never take any action with it. Well, this is how I make sure that things like this happen. I realized late July, oh, dang, I haven't gone to any. And I only got like 5-6 months left. Let me figure this out, 5 months. So I was like, ooh, let me start looking across the schedules. And my schedule's not the easiest one to deal with. So I had to figure out when and how. And anyway, so I already gone to one. I went to a preseason football game in Jacksonville, where I live in Florida. So that was good. And I'm a Dolphins fan, so Dolphins came. It was preseason. Not that big of a deal, but it was fun to go to. So I got one done. And then I was like, ooh, the Marlins, the season's almost over, and I really only have two nights. Like, this is how planning works, folks, right? I looked at their schedule, and I looked at my availability, and realized I only had 2 options. It was either going to be tonight or the one on the 19th, right? 2 weeks from today. I was like, there's no other way. There's only 2 options. And I even had people that were supposed to come, that were going to try to come, that kind of thing. Nobody came. I bought 2 tickets. Fine. I'm here by myself. And I don't go, oh, poor pitiful Spencer. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being by myself. But anyway, the point is that I had to figure out how I was going to go. Now tonight I'm going to go in here and enjoy it. And I was like, man, I still got Spencer Uncensored to do. Do it from your car. Nobody really gives a shit whether you're at a desk People just want the information. People want the value. So anyway, I'm here, and let just be a reminder to you. Are there things that you have that you're like, man, I would love to go. I don't know if Dan's on here because I haven't seen any comments yet, but if Dan likes cars, right? So like I never put it as a goal for me, but going to, there's Dan. Every time I go Dodgers. Yeah, well, you guys have a pretty good chance of winning tonight. But anyway, you could actually put yourself down to go to, car shows. I like going to car shows, right? So are you doing the things you enjoy doing, or is your life just constantly in a constant rut? Marriages get into this situation with relationships. It's just like constantly go to the same restaurants, do the same things, do the same. You got to shake it up some, right? So anyway, planning is super important. And I promise I'm coming around to this, by the way. Says I have a slow connection, so hopefully I'm good. I'm not moving, obviously. But anyway, this past weekend, my wife and I did our planning trip. We spent a good bit of time looking over it. And since this is like our 9th year, I think we did the math. It's our 9th year, or maybe our 8th year. 14 was our first one. So I think this was our 9th year. Yeah. It's, you kind of get into this rhythm and you kind of already know, right, where you're headed. We have to readjust and figure out what we need to adjust and those types of things. So it's important. It's important. Shake things up, figure out where you're at. Tonight's not where we talk about the plan. As a matter of fact, that's what a lot of the Unshakable Agent is about, is making sure you're very clear. So let's talk about purpose for a second. If you're familiar, this is business, by the way. If you want to increase purpose, you want to have purpose, you want to have something that really drives your business, it's the most critical part of the entire thing. Okay? And I say that with all due respect. Right? People's like, well, the purpose of the business is profit. I get it. But if you don't have any particular purpose to the whole thing, you're not going to get anywhere. See, everybody comes to me at the top of the pyramid. They focus on, I want to make progress. I want to grow. I want to make more money. Cool. No problem. But I'm not making any progress. Okay, well, if it's an issue with progress, this is super repetitive for me, but I'm just going to keep doing it until you guys get it. Progress, if it's an issue then of performance. Are we taking action? Do we have the mindset of faith? And do we have the mechanics of process, right? Action. Are we taking high performance action? If we're not performing at a high level, maybe we're performing but not at a high level, then it may be that we're not stepped into our power. And the power comes in when you have a mindset of accountability where you own all of your shit. And you have the mechanics of resources, like you understand what to get, what not to get out, and so on. I think about this for a second. Now, actually, let me pause here for a second. I had a conversation with an agent earlier this week. Powerful agent. And yet, not getting the results. Why? Because they had not stepped into their power. So, this sounds so cheesy, Spencer, so ridiculous. Let me tell you something. This person felt like they couldn't get anywhere, couldn't do anything. And when I helped them realize that their past performance, right, they owned it. It wasn't happenstance. It wasn't just something that happened. They had to purposefully make it happen. Like those things, like business just didn't come to you. And when people start owning even the good stuff, not just the bad stuff. Everybody thinks accountability is about owning the bad stuff. Owning what the results you've gotten, even when you want to say, oh, it was just, I was lucky, that is horse manure. Quit doing that. Own. It's called honor and humility. Honor your results. Honor your efforts. That's how you step into your power. right? So again, if we want progression, got to have performance. Performance comes from our power. Our power comes from having very strong priorities. That's a mindset of focus, meaning we're moving towards, not away, and the mechanics of the plan, right? So focus on the plan. That's how you create priorities. If you're not stepping into your powers because you have no priorities, you have a diffused level of energy. It's everywhere, right? And if everything's a priority, then you have no priorities. But what is the one fundamental thing that creates priorities? What allows you to have that kind of focus? What allows you to have that kind of planning in place? Purpose. Purpose comes from the mindset of commitment married to the mechanics of outcome. Mindset, mechanics, movement. Always going to come down to that. So, if you're looking to create purpose, at the end of the day, it comes down to, number one, do I have a very clearly defined outcome? And number two, do I have the mindset of commitment? And when you do, and you get those two congruent or aligned with each other, you'll find a massive amount of purpose to create those priorities that'll allow you to step into that power, perform at a high level, and constantly progress. I don't know about you guys, but I'm loving how all this stuff is unfolding because it becomes much more easy to digest. I'm trusting this was helpful for you guys tonight. We'll talk more about some of these things, but for now, tonight, step into your purpose, clarify your outcomes, and commit. Commit. We've talked about, by the way, threshold moments. That's how you create the commitment. Having threshold moments. All right, folks. You guys have a good night tonight. And sorry, Deborah. I'm pulling for the Marlins. Y'all have a good night. Bye.